How the heck are you, everybody? I am Fastidious. Welcome to my channel, and welcome to a brand new 9-part series called All Heroes Ranked. This is kind of in conjunction with the anniversary, and thankfully, Moonton is chipping in with some giveaways for every single video in the series, so more on that later on in this video. We're going to kick it off faction by faction. The way this is going to work is we are going to do a new video every day, starting today, going faction by faction, ranking all the heroes in that faction in order, worst to best. So as you can see from behind me on your screen, we're on fastidious.gg, the best website in the realm. We are going to kick it off with the Nightmare Council. We're doing Nightmare units. We've got 25 legendaries and epics. I'm going to tell you, in almost every single faction, we will only be ranking the legendary and epics. A good example for why we're not doing rares and lower is Sorzis. He is not worth ranking. No one is actually going to build him unless they're doing a rares only challenge. There will be a couple factions where we do make an exception and rank a rare, or even in one case an uncommon. You can probably guess who it's going to be. But for almost every video, every faction, it will just be ranking every single epic and legendary worst to best. So with these 25 in the Nightmare Council, we're going to go from number 25 all the way down to number 1. And as a reminder, we will have a giveaway at the end of every single one of these videos, all 9. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
Alrighty, folks, so let's kick things off with number 25 through number 21. Number 25 is going to be Drayga. So Drayga, you can find her over here. She is an epic tank. She's a defender. She does normal type damage, physical damage. All in all, she's a pretty gigantic L. She was the epic that you needed to fuse 4 of to then fuse together to get Torodor. That was the first ever limited time fusion event, so not a shard summoning, a fusion. You had to get 4 Draygas. They came together. They made a Torodor. She very much is fusion fodder. There's not many interesting things in the kit, as you can see from these tier rankings behind me. The one thing I want to point out about her before I move on is actually, for Guild Boss 2, she has some viability. Nightmare is an extremely strong faction there. Having 4 units is really powerful. It's good to bring a Nightmare tank. She is an acceptable choice. So you can see we gave her a B. I might even, in our next update, bring that to like a B+, because on top of being a Nightmare, on top of being a defender, a tank, you do need a tank for both of your teams. She has damage decrease. So she places a debuff on the boss that causes him to deal less damage. It is a rare debuff. She does it. Pretty powerful. All right, on to the next. Not much more to say about Drayga. Number 24 is going to be Daemon. So Daemon is going to be another epic unit. He's going to be a fighter from the Nightmares, and all in all, he's just aggressively meh. He has an interesting mechanic on deploy where you can put him out. He's got an increased attack. He also can land some stuns based on those hits. It's really niche. It's really not that valuable. He has an interesting talent where he has greatly reduced revival time. So, it's a lot easier to cycle through him, and you can kind of take advantage of this auto ult thing that happens on deploy. All in all, he is not that interesting. You can see our tier rankings right here. For Guild Boss 2, we gave him a B. I'm seeing that now. Yes, you can cycle him in and out for the stuns. I actually think I'm going to bring that down to a C. It is not reliable enough. I don't think he's that great. The one thing I'll say that he shines in, and I'll try to find a good thing for every hero, is going to be in Void Rift. When you want to kill those tentacles that Ludwig summons on phase 2 of that one rotation that has Ludwig, the one that ends in Lasir, he's pretty valuable because you can cycle him through really fast, just like you could use like Aatrox or something. The increased damage, the increased attack is nice. Aside from that, he's extremely niche and he's really not that special at all. That is why he's number 24. Now for number 23, we are going to get, believe it or not, our first legendary unit already. That is going to be Gisele. She's number 23 out of 25 as a legendary and an ancient exclusive legendary at that. So guys, Gisele, she really is just a colossal L. It is so disappointing to pull her as a legendary unit from your ancient exclusives. You expect so much more. She comes off, the way her kit reads, that she's going to have this kind of bursty, almost multi-target or AoE damage. It's not. She scales really poorly. She does boring single target. The range seems kind of cool since it's not just one tile. All in all, she's just terrible. She's basically unusable in almost all content. The only place I could really see you bringing her in and her shining would be like AMR. Let's see what grade we gave her there. I might have just gave her, C. maybe you could give her a B. I kind of just hate her, so I made sure to give her terrible grades across the board. The only good thing, there, single target arena, we gave her a B. The only good thing I can say about her, we'll say 2 good things about Gisele, and then let's move the heck on from this atrocity of a hero. The only 2 good things, she is a nightmare unit. To get the max Lord skill boost, we'll put a picture up of the Lord skills right now. The base Lord skill is if you have 4 or more nightmare units deployed, you have a 35% attack speed post-deployment boost to all of those heroes. So obviously having that 35% boost is really valuable. If you pull Gisele early on in the game, she could serve well as a 4th unit, a 3rd unit even, I don't know. She really does suck. And then I'll say as the second good thing, keep in mind, it sucks to pull her. You see gold, you're pulling ancient summons, it sucks to pull her. However, it's not like she resets pity or anything. It's the same thing as just pulling Borit or Camille, right? She's just any other old pull. So it's not like you've reset anything. For the ancient summoning, the pity is only reset by legendary lords. So actually, it's just like the same as pulling a 3-star. Arguably, maybe until they buff her, it's still worse to pull her because you could still sell a 3-star for 30 diamonds. But yeah, I mean, she's not that catastrophic as like a non-ancient legendary that you pull and totally lose all the pity that you may have built. She's not as enormous a disappointment. That being said, for being an ancient exclusive legendary, she's a tremendous disappointment. And boy oh boy does she suck. Alrighty guys, now for number 22, who is it going to be? We actually have another legendary unit, and that is going to be Azhor, and I absolutely stand by this. Azhor sucks. They call him Azhor for a reason. He earned it. He really did. He's just not good. He is a tank. He's got terrible base stats. Let me show that to you right now. So if we look at his class, only 23.2k HP for a legendary tank, a legendary defender. That is abysmal. And then the most criminal stat on this guy, 3248, 3,248 base defense. This is on a defense-based damage-dealing hero. This is dreadfully low. Not for any tank, not just for defense-based damage-dealing tanks. 3248 is a joke. Many tanks have 3,900 or even 4,000 base defense. This guy has frickin' Bubkiss. He absolutely stinks. When you go to the skills, it really doesn't work. He's kind of meant as they write him out to deal damage. He deals like no damage. I really don't like him. He really only starts cooking at A5. So if you have to pull a base copy and then 5 more, so 6 total copies to make him interesting at all, that is a bad, bad hero. And I will also say, people are really enjoying him. Let's go to the tier list now. Really enjoying him in Guild Boss 2. I will be increasing his ratings like a B+. A lot of people are saying he should be like an A or an A+. Also, keep in mind, when we did these Guild Boss 2 rankings, I was totally blind. I hadn't tried it yet. We had many guests on that advised me they had only done it a little bit. So all of these will be getting amended very soon in our giant V2 update that's going to be amazing, including a special tab here that will have full build recommendations, gear, artifacts, and stats. So he will get the bump, but I actually don't think he's going to be that high. Unless you have him A5, the stuns are not consistent enough. He's not that good a tank. Basically, he's functioning as a tank and as a nightmare unit, just like Drayga. Nothing much more interesting than that. Like I said, the stuns are good, but he cannot handle the stuns on Phase 1 of Guild Boss 2 well enough alone, unless you really have him A5. I think he's super overrated in that piece of content. And in general, you can see, I just think he's trash. He's a very solid D. We hate this hero. Let's move on. So, to round out our bottom 5, number 21 is going to be Komodo. So Komodo is a 100% free-to-play hero. He is fusible from rare and uncommon fodder. You can very easily farm up or summon. Komodo is exactly fine. He serves one role, and that's putting out a lot of reliable bleed. Aside from that, he is not too interesting. You can see on the ultimate, it increases attack speed by 60 for 35 seconds. When attacking, it inflicts bleed on the target. So you can see, with increased attack speed, very consistent placement of bleed, lasting for a full 35 seconds. It goes up to 40 at level 4 with skill ups. That is significant. For beginners, for mid-game players, even some late-game players, if you need bleed, this is one of the most reliable sources in the game. That's basically it. He's free to play, he's super accessible, and he puts out a lot of consistent bleed. He's very good for like artifact material raid because bleed also allows for increased physical damage taken by the enemy, so he can kind of be a support in that way. He can put out very consistent dot damage, just build him really tanky, he's good to go. So that works for like Guild Boss, and then of course he's very, very strong in artifact material raid. We gave him an S there. That's basically it. We gave him a B overall, so a nice little jump up from those D heroes we were looking at before. But unequivocally, he's not that interesting, and he's not that good. Into the top 20, who is going to be number 20? Number 20, we've got Kineza. another legendary hero. Kineza is the definition of mid. So let's zoom out for a second. All the way down at number 20, we've got the definition of mid. Nightmare is one of the strongest factions in the game. That's why I wanted to start this long 9-episode series with this one, because Nightmare, it's a very free-to-play accessible one. You know, you get Wrath for free, heroes like Komodo. Almost all players very early on will be running a Nightmare comp, so I thought this was a great place to start. And already at number 20, we have a hero who I just think is decidedly mid. So it's only uphill from here, guys. What does Kineza do? She's got a little bursty stuff. She can dodge. The damage is solid. The base stats are solid. You can see attack is nice, 5881. We're going to see higher later on, but that's pretty cool. The HP is actually quite nice. She's 14 cost, which is dirt cheap. I really like that. She's got an extremely unique attack interval of 2.3. That's a very, very unique base attack interval. She's just very solid. She's the kind of hero you don't mind having in the game. She fills out the hero pool while being viable for some things, but she's not good. She's just there, but she's not bad. She's right in the middle. She's the definition of mid. The key thing you're going to want with her if you have Salazar, she has the Kismet Bond. This is a partner bond skill with Salazar. It makes her better for sure. The damage increases a lot. But the key thing is it makes Salazar a lot tankier. It gives him some increased HP. That is very, very nice. Let's go to the tier ratings so you can see what we're dealing with here. A lot of Bs across the board. You can see she's absolutely acceptable in a lot of content. I find her quite strong in AMR. Faction Trials, she's very, very nice. She fits in really nicely, especially if you have Salazar. And yeah, she should be pretty strong in single target arena. Overall, a very, very, very decidedly B hero. Let's go on to the next. So at number 19, we're headed back to our epics, and we have got Nauvras. So this is a single target bursty mage. He actually just had a rework, making him more of a consistent summoner. And recently, a couple months ago, he was added as another permanent fusion in this game. So he's 100% free to play viable. You can fuse him whenever you would like. So again, I think Nauvras is a decidedly average hero, and we are fine with that. You can see it's a good faction. He's got very interesting range on his ultimate. It becomes this giant burst all around him. It's like a super Dolores or Constance range, if you can imagine that. He has acceptable stats. There's nothing too interesting here. A lot of things are kind of par for the course for this kind of single target bursty epic mage. If we go to the tier rankings, the places he really shines, it's going to be Faction Trials. If we can just hop to there already, I gave him an A+. You'll see him again in one of these videos because he has dual faction membership. He is not only a Nightmare Council member, he's also in the Esoteria Order, right? So he's an esotericist and he's a Nightmare unit. All in all, he's like pretty solid. The burst is good. The new improvement to the kit to make his summons more reliable and be counted as like pure summons synergizes very well with Anora, who's a new 250 exclusive hero we just had. She is also an esotericist, so it's a really nice pairing there. You can see across the board, he's just pretty darn solid. We're giving him a B+. The damage is there if you can build him well for an epic. You know, it's not crazy damage, but it is bursty. You can make him work. I've run him as main DPS for 118, so he can be a solid carry. I do like that accessibility. Now on to number 18, we've got another legendary hero, Magmus. So this is a fairly new addition to the global server. He's been out on Forerunner for a very long time. He's a very tanky, slightly HP-based damage-dealing tank. I don't think he's too exciting, but he is unique, and we like that. Very high HP, very, very high attack. You do love to see that. You'll see his multipliers aren't that good, but that is pretty darn cool. Extremely unique attack interval. All in all, a darn solid hero. He's got a cool thing going on with the ult Lava Flow. He turns the ground around the hero into flowing lava. That deals 60% damage to enemies on it per second. The key thing here is going to be during the effect, it increases his block by 2, boosts that HP by 80%. With skill ups, it goes all the way up to 100%. So he can be really, really tanky. And, you know, with a base block of 2, like any fighter, he actually brings it up to 4. Run this guy in a Lunacy Visor, the special artifact, that will bring up to 5 block during the ultimate. Very, very significant. And actually, we'll go straight into the tier list, straight to the end to Gear Raid 5. He's really viable there. He can actually do the left side. Certainly, he can do it reliably on Stage 5. Some people have even done it on Stage 6. Shout out to Ronaldo Plays. He's covered that really well. We're giving an A+ there because he is really viable. You can see for a lot of this stuff where you need like a solid fighter, maybe a little tankiness, he can shine. So we're talking Faction Trials, AMR, Void Rift, Conqueror Codex even, because he can get that AoE going in the tiles around him. Solid hero, nothing too special. Again, a solid B+. But now with Magmus, we are entering the territory. pretty good heroes. Pretty fun to use heroes. Heroes you can be not upset to pull. Now for number 17, guys, we have got another legendary hero, another ancient exclusive legendary hero. That's going to be Admiral Claw. I'll say starting at this point, none of these heroes are bad, officially. Admiral Claw is very solid. He can drag guys in. He can do some pretty consistent, solid DPS. He's got penetration in his kit, so you can ignore a lot of stuff. He attacks a little low, but that is because he's got a lot of built-in penetration, so he's ignoring defense, he's ignoring resistance. He is a solid hero. 18 cost, 2 block, lots of standard things, 2.6 second attack interval. You'll see that all the time. Let's go to the tier ratings. Guild Boss, he can actually shine really well. He also, we must mention, and I should have mentioned this for Gisele, because he's ancient exclusive, he's not just a Nightmare unit, he has dual faction membership in Chaos. If we ever get a Chaos faction trial, I envision he'll be brilliant there. Already, as it stands, he's amazing for Nightmare faction trial with that increased range and pulling the units in towards you. Aside from that, it's going to be stuff like Guild Boss. He can be a great DPS in a Nightmare team. Not top of the line, but solid A. I think he deserves that. And a lot of other things, he's just pretty good. Not too much more to it. He's a good Nightmare unit, and he can synergize pretty well in some of those Chaos teams. AMR, he does very nicely. And yeah, he can be quite good in single target arena. You're going to have to put him behind someone because he's not going to have too much tankiness by himself, but he absolutely can function. Admiral Claw is very much the kind of hero, if you pull him later on into the game or when you're in endgame, it's kind of a total disappointment, at least with the content we have right now. But if you get him early, mid, or even like the early side of late game, he can actually be a huge benefit to your account. Now for number 16, to finish up the bottom 10 before we head into our top 15 and really get into the good stuff, we have got Gluttony. Gluttony had a big rework at the end of last year, the end of 2023, and it kind of turned him into a total stud. He is still niche for where he's really going to shine, but where this guy shines, he completely shines. So he's an auto ult over here, Gnaw. You can see the cost can go down to 900. Basically what you need to know is he rips and kills one enemy in range with his teeth. Full stop. If it's an elite or boss, he'll just deal damage, but any non-elite or boss, he just instantly eliminates them. It is a full destruction, full wipe, full execution, nothing more to it. When you combine that with his talent, where his damage naturally scales off of HP, he's got pretty solid stats of 23,315 health, actually very high HP for a fighter. He can basically operate as a tank for you that, oh yeah, by the way, once in a while will just completely destroy, execute an enemy around him. If you build him nice and fast with a lot of rage regen, a good amount of HP, he just gets the job done. He consumes enemies around him at a decent rate, and he's very effective at it, and he can allow you to achieve good results in content you otherwise may not be able to. Overall, now we're getting to the good stuff. We give him an A+. Guild Boss, you're going to use him more like a tank for like early mid-game stuff, but he can do solid stuff at that. He can be really, really tanky. He doesn't get the execute on the Guild Boss, obviously, but as a boss, he gets that increased damage during the ultimate. Gear Aid 1, he can be really nice just eliminating enemies, tanking in front all the way through Gear Aid 1, except for maybe Gear Aid 120 and 121. A lot of other places, he's pretty darn acceptable. AMR, he's quite good. Void Rift, he can be an absolute star in certain stages, tanking and then taking out really difficult enemies. Faction Trials, I could not have beaten it without him. He served as an extra tank. And yeah, those quick eliminations can be really cool. Key thing with him, when the ult is full, if there's no one in his range, no enemy in his range, it will stay full until someone enters his range. He'll immediately eliminate them, full execution, and start loading that ult up again. He also can absolutely shine in Conquer. I've seen him on some really nice budget teams. He's a solid hero. Single target arena is also going to be good. All in all, we like Gluttony. He's a very good epic. Alrighty, guys, top 15. Now we're into this blue fivesome. This is going to get good. Who's it going to be? We have got Deimos. One of the best epics in the game. Deimos is just straight up a good, bursty, single target damage dealer. There's not that much more to it. He's got a cool talent over here. His basic attacks deal additional damage equal to 2% of his max HP. Doesn't seem like much, but this allows you to get away with building a little HP on him. Just build this guy fast, build him with some rage regen, and then get those DPS stats nice and high. You want to take full advantage of this absolutely mighty ultimate ancestral presence. You're going to want this thing fully skilled up. And then I will say with Deimos, you want to get him to Awaken 5. He's one of the rarest epic heroes in the game, so do not be afraid to soulstone him out with your epic soulstones. He was actually the first character in the game I ever pulled from a divine summon. I got him on day 1, and as I got epic soulstones, I immediately soulstoned him up. He carried me through a lot of content progressing for a very long time before I had a full roster. When it comes to the guild bosses, he's absolutely a star. we're giving him an A+ in Guild Boss 1, and then Guild Boss 2 we give him an S, because the damage is really good, it's really bursty, it is really, really consistent. Even with the Awakenings, he's going to get some penetration, so that can help, you know, for that phase 2 when things get really, really tricky. He also at Awaken 5 will ignore 15% of the target's defense when he gets full stacks of his tearing. That's a key part of his kit. He's a very strong hero. You can see stuff where you might need a bursty unit, you might run a Nightmare comp, you might need a good amount of single target. Deimos is a monster. We're giving him an A+ overall, very good in the guild bosses. If we continue along, Gear Aid 5, he can do some major work, maybe not stage 5 and probably not stage 6, but you know, for progressing through it, he's very strong. AMR, he was like my key DPS when I did beat AMR 18. He was crazy. Campaign, he's solid. Faction Trials, he's quite solid. 6, he actually is really good because you get a nice little burst of attacks here during his ultimate, which is a manual ultimate, so you can use it very effectively. And then finally, the key thing I want to talk about is single target arena. We gave him an A+ here, and actually, for me, for the longest time, I was using him on my single target arena before I pulled someone like a Valeriya. He functions really nicely, especially since you do get some DPS benefit for building HP on him. So you can use him to amazing effect. I love Deimos. I mean, he is the hero whose face is on the game app icon for a reason. Number 14 now, who is it going to be? We've got Baron, an absolutely excellent tank. If you want a crazy fact about Fastidious lore of my account, he was my second 6-star ever. My first 6-star was a Mani, the epic mage, bursty single target mage, and then I was like, I need a tank. I didn't regret it for a second. Baron, especially for progression, is a mighty, mighty powerful carry. If we go to the skills now, you see very solid base stats, 24.7k HP for an epic tank is very, very good. Look at that. All the stats are basically as good, if not better, than Azhor, for example. Azhor has slightly higher defense, but then again, Baron has crazy shields, and Baron doesn't need defense for his damage. This HP is really good. The attack actually is solid. He is a mighty fine hero, someone we really like using. If we go to the skills, the key thing here is going to be his ultimate, Evil Armor. Cast a shield that can absorb damage equal to 70% HP for 10 seconds. With skill ups, you can get this all the way up to 100% of his HP. That's how potent the shield is. And you can get the skill cost down, holy crap, to only 400 cost. So you can spam this thing all the time, and it is a manual ult, so you can use it when you want it. The final thing we have to talk about, Immortal Wrath. This is what allows him to continue as a very viable hero in the late game and even into the end game. He is unyielding, and it is very good unyielding. With full skill ups, it lasts for 8 seconds. This basically means when he takes that lethal damage, that killing blow, when he's hit with that fatal shot, he's not going to die. He's going to be in an unyielding state. And when it ends with Awakening, some really cool stuff can happen. So at A5, after that Immortal Wrath passive happens, this can be triggered once per deployment, he'll get 50% of his health back. He'll get half of his health bar filled up again. And then also, that can last another 3 seconds. So with skill ups, it goes up to 8 seconds. At A3, it can last for another 3, so 11 seconds. He is very, very good. We are giving him an A+ overall. This guy is freaking good. Main thing we're going to talk about, Gear Aid 2, about as easy and unyielding champ as you could use. Amazing for taking those fast runner guys that deal so much damage. Gear Aid 5, I find him completely effective. I've used him on many stage 6 takeovers. He doesn't get an S+ because it's not like you need him, but he's a perfectly usable option. And because you're probably going to run a Nightmare comp, he fits in beautifully. I love him there. AMR, he's great for tanking the sides. Void Rift, you'll find a lot of good uses. Campaign, he is completely brilliant. Faction Trials, near a necessity if you don't have someone like Torodor. He's a brilliant hero, guys. You can feel really happy about him. And then also, we haven't really talked about GVG yet. He is a GVG star. That unyielding is so pesky. Nightmare teams are pretty meta right now. Baron, an exceptionally good, exceptionally strong epic. He really earned this A+. Number 13, who is it gonna be? Let's see, Vladov. So interestingly enough, Vladov is an epic lord for chaos, for the chaotic units, right? However, he also has dual faction membership just as a normal member of Nightmare, and he's pretty darn good. Vladov, if you can snag his A1, has extremely consistent bleeds. Each basic attack launch now has a 10% chance to apply bleed to the targets. If we look at those skills, his basic attack, pretty good because it's a double hitter. There's a lot of other ways you can get bleed. You can see his laceration passive is a great way to do it. Very consistent bleed, and actually probably the most reliable source of bleed for any reasonably accessible hero in the game. I really like him. That's kind of all he's bringing as a Nightmare unit. The reason he's getting this big A+ overall rating is because I'm not grading him just as a Nightmare unit, but as a hero overall. And because he is a chaotic lord, He does a great job. He's got a great Lord skill, and it is so hard to get the 2 Lords that are legendary from Chaos because they are both obviously Ancient exclusive. Many people, myself included, will be running Vladov for a very long time. Who knows? I hope not, but maybe forever. He's very, very good for that. You can see kind of across the board, a very solid hero. AMR, I find him absolutely brilliant. Conqueror, he is very nice. This is strictly as a Chaotic Lord, but really nice. Styx, he can fit in really nicely as a Nightmare unit. And finally, if we go down here, for Arena, for single target AoE, I actually use him all the time whenever it's up because he is brilliant as a Chaotic Lord there. So if you have some good Chaotic units, he's kind of a must, unless you of course have Gon or Valderon to bring in. Vladov is a very, very nice hero, mostly because of his amazing Chaotic Lordship and being fairly accessible as an epic, but also because those bleeds are insanely consistent when you get him A1 and very, very reliable. Now for number 12, who is it going to be? We have got Abomination, so our first ever 100% free-to-play permanent fusion. Abomination, I think it's a bad rap because he's free, so like that's not sexy. Because he's free, there's nothing exclusive about him. That being said, he is really, really good. Crazy, crazy base stats. Let's look at that. Second highest HP in the game, currently the highest, but Jira is about to come who will dethrone him. Insanely, insanely high. The attack is very nice. The defense is very nice. The magic res is in the toilet, but that's a story for another day. All in all, he's exceptionally solid. He really, really is. You should be very happy if you can fuse him early on in the game. He can carry you through a ton of content. His ultimate after 2 triggers becomes permanent, and this leaves him in like this AoE burning state with increased range, as you can see here. Just a very solid, very good hero. Solid DPS, damage over time, exceptionally tanky. Put this guy in a lunacy visor so he gets 1 extra block. He can heal himself up a little bit extra. Combine that with the near unkillability or unyielding effect with his ultimate Torment. Abomination is exceptionally solid. He's really, really good. We are giving him a decided A+, but like nearly, he's like an A++. He's almost an S. Very good in Guild Boss, exceptionally good for Guild Boss 2. He's got fairly consistent stuns. Very, very good in Gear Raid 1. You can actually use him, and I have successfully on 121 Nightmare comps. Very, very cool stuff there. He works well for Gear Raid 5. Not an ideal choice, but absolutely works well. Void Rift, I still use him to this day. He's a hard AMR carry for many people. Brilliant in Faction Trials, good in Campaign. Excellent in Conquer. A very, very solid hero. Really good in Guild Wars 2. He is just nearly an S. Excellent, excellent legendary. We should be lucky to get him for free. We can feel lucky that we get him 100% fusible for free. Nearly at the top 10, guys, number 11 is going to be Greed. Another dual faction hero, and a brilliant one at that. Greed is dual faction Nightmare Council and Cursed Cult. Greed is freaking awesome, and he also is 100% free to play. It was not like that when I started playing, but he is now the day 28 login reward. The damage is really good, so you can build him as a DPS, or the support stuff, the debuffing, and the crowd control is brilliant. If you can get your Greed up to A5, you will be able to simultaneously trigger both potential effects that happen during his auto ult, and they are really strong when you can do them together. Basically, it's going to be a big AoE damage over time. It's just a burn. I don't know why they don't list it as burn. And it's going to be really, really potent slows. Really good slows. Combine those two things, you can kind of build him any way you want. Spamming, spamming, spamming for debuffs and crowd control with his slows. You can see his basic attacks here. Place magic res reduction. Not the most powerful debuff, but an exceptionally rare one. Amazing that you can get that consistently from the basic attack, especially if you've got him A1, where you guarantee the alternating effect between the two options there. He's the kind of hero you're going to want to awaken, but it will be worth it. And then also, you can build him for some crazy DPS, especially if you want to run him as a Nightmare unit. When you run him as a Curse unit, you could run him for DPS, but he's really nice as like a debuffer and a crowd control enabler to help that faction bonus. But for Nightmare, with the increased speed, that will allow him to cycle his ultimate extremely effectively. He is just really good. Greed is going to get some great rankings. He is going to be the very high end of A+. If his base stats were just a little higher, he would be brilliant. Because they kind of treat him as a support, he doesn't get very high attack, but he is really, really good. So we give him an A+ overall. You can see S in Gear Raid 1. You can use him all the way up to 121, especially if you want to use him as like a spammer support. Gear Raid 4 nearly should be S+. A brilliant, brilliant enabler with slows, especially if you want to run my strategy of Virna with no tanks on the bottom. Virna plus Greed, then you don't need an anti-heal. Absolutely effective. Really, really, really strong. Void Rift, you can do some work. Campaigning is great. Faction Trials, obviously he's brilliant. Probably should even be an S+ because of the dual faction thing, and he does good work in both of them. Greed's a great hero. Guild Wars, I hate facing him. He is so frustrating. If someone builds him super speed, the slows are infuriating. Oh my god, he's a major headache. Greed, again, nearly an S-rated hero. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant for an epic, and honestly just a top-quality hero overall. At long last, we have reached our top 10, and we're going to kick this thing off, holy guacamole, with Ares, a brand spanking new hero. He was just rated up less than 2 weeks ago. Actually, he is so new, I haven't even done his tier ratings yet. That update will probably come in about 2 weeks when, again, we do our big V2 update. But I can quickly take you through his skills and tell you why I think he's so good. First off, that range. His base range is 2 tiles in front. As you get to the really good units, you don't really want to settle for one single tile of range to really shine as a fighter, and a lot of our Nightmare units, as you can see, are fighters. You want some kind of special range, or at least when you ult. He permanently has 2 tile range. That is great. The base stats are off the chain. They're far off the map. 28k HP, 6257 attack. So you can build him tanky, you can build him pure DPS. Really, really good. The key thing that is going to allow him to shine beyond just like a tanky guy who can do some damage are his debuffs. His debuffs are completely nasty. His basic attacks apply defense reduction. This is a very, very strong defense break that he always applies on all of his basic attacks. And actually, even when he's ulting, those attacks count as basics. So whatever he's hitting, he will always be applying a defense break. That is enormous, not just for enabling him to do more damage, but most importantly, allowing his allies that might be even stronger DPS units to deal extra damage. He synergizes really well in the Nightmare faction. Those debuffs are going to enable Lust or Arrogance, some of those heroes, to absolutely go ballistic. The other key thing is going to be on his ultimate. He applies physical damage vulnerability, so this is increased physical damage taken, and it is a whopping 30%. So whatever enemy has that on him that he places the debuff on, any physical damage done by him or any of his allies, the enemy will receive 30% increased damage. This is as big as this buff gets. Combine that with the defense break, it is crazy. Combine that with the fact that nearly all of these top Nightmare Council units, these top Nightmare DPSers, these damage dealers, they are dealing physical damage. It is crazy. I think he's a brilliant hero. I think people should be stoked to have pulled him. If you can get him up to A3, he starts ignoring 20% of the target's defense on his ultimate. He is a banger of a hero. Get excited that you pulled him, and look forward to pulling dupes. You don't need to seek it out, but when it happens, that's going to be a good thing. Number 9, who is it going to be? It's going to be the legendary fighter, Salazar. Salazar, when I started playing the game, when the game first came out, was a total god. Pretty darn consistent bleed, amazing synergy with all his Nightmare allies, really cool hero. He's definitely fallen off as we've gotten better and better heroes and the meta has changed, but he is still absolutely nasty. He's great in tons and tons of content. He's got a really cool ultimate attack range when he does his crazy bursts. A key thing with Salazar is during his ultimate, he launches a blitz of these 6 strikes. And with other heroes, when they do these big flurries of attacks, if they kill that one target, like if they're a single target unit like Salazar, they stop. They don't move on. Salazar is not like this. So he hits really hard. If he kills something and he has more strikes remaining in his blitz, he'll just move on to the next target. This makes him super duper strong. The burst is absolutely disgusting. He's got crazy high base attack at 6,500. He's still a really good hero. He's going to be outpaced by some other DPS and some other fighters, as you're about to see, but he's really, really, really good. Nonetheless, let's go to the tier ratings. I think he's probably going to be our last A+. By the way, I will also be grading Ares almost certainly as an A+. For Guild Boss, he's still very good at S. For Guild Boss 2, actually, I wouldn't mind snagging a copy. Absolutely excellent, especially when he starts putting out those bleeds. Very viable in a lot of content. Still a total freak for AMR. Once you beat AMR and you want to speed farm it, that burst can allow you to farm it almost instantaneously with Power of Dominance. It is crazy stuff. Him plus Valeriya and like Silas. GG's in the chat. It's crazy. Faction Trials S deserves it, especially with that expanded range. He's very good in sticks, not like top of the line, but getting close to it, especially if you're going to have Torodor on like a Nightmare team. So not exactly the meta, but still really good. Arbiter, I might knock him down to S, but the damage is good and the bleeds are really solid. Actually, I'm definitely going to knock him down to an S. He'll get a knock there. And then single target, I think he will still remain A+. He's still extremely, extremely strong. There are only a couple better units in the game. I actually think we're about to see one right about now. So let's go to the next already on our list. Who is that going to be? Is it Lugaru? I think it is. Yes, it is. It's going to be Lugaru. So he, to me, is just a slightly better version of Salazar. Not exactly the same because it's not straight up out and out burst, but he's got that base attack range of 2 tiles in front. That makes him amazing. He also has freaky high base stats, 25.9 on the health, 61.72 on the attack. He also puts out bleed even more consistently than Salazar. and his single target is lethal. These two are kind of neck and neck. That's why they're next to each other in our rankings. The way that I see Lugaru absolutely shining, very good in Guild Boss, quite good in Guild Boss 2. But oh my god, he is stupid good. Probably the best. Let me know if you guys think I'm wrong. I think he's probably the best DPS unit in single target arena in the entire game. A complete delete button. That dual faction membership in Chaos Dominion, being a chaotic unit, makes him really, really freaky. He also synergizes very nice, obviously, with the Nightmare Council. All in all, he's just very, very, very strong. I really would not mind pulling myself a Lugaru, a freak in faction trials, insanely excellent in AMR. He's really, as you can see from these numbers, he's neck and neck with Salazar. I just give him the slight edge because when you get to proper endgame stuff, something like single target arena, he is going to shine a bit more. I'm a big fan of Lugaru, and I actually think he is going to be our last A+ unit. So let's go already to number 7. Who is it going to be? It's going to be Wrath. Is Wrath an S? He's got to be, right? He has got to be. Let's find out. Do we have an epic coming in at number 7? Wrath, free-to-play hero you get on day 14. And yes, we're giving him an S+, baby. I'm going to explain it. I had him at S forever. This is a little surprise for you guys. I've bumped him up to S+ because it is so freaking hard to get Torodor, and the more content they add to this game, the more powerful the Nightmare faction is getting. You're going to want to run Nightmare comps, and for people like me that don't have Torodor, you literally need Wrath. So for that alone, he deserves S+. You also give him points for accessibility. You give him points for the fact that he's growing and growing with the game. You know, he puts out damage over time. He can tank. He's got solid DPS. He synergizes really, really well. I mean, I'm using him to this day in both my Guild Boss team, my Guild Boss 2 team, all over the place, right? He can carry you through the game. For many people, he will, because you're going to use that Nightmare comp forever. And even in the end game, you will find uses for him. Granted, if you get Torodor, things might change, but the vast majority of us will never get Torodor. So look at that. Wrath is absolutely incredible. Super cool hero. Someone you're going to definitely want to A5. He becomes a different hero at A5 when he gets that health restoration. Super, super potent. He's just an excellent hero. You can see S's and S+s in nearly every key category. I love Wrath. There's not much more to say. He is a key lord in this game and one many of us will lean on for a very long time. Number 6 now, guys, the final unit before the top 5. This is going to be Valeriya. Boy, Valeriya is a complete and utter freak. She really is. The burst is out of this world. She is so good, and she's staying good as we get new and more challenging endgame content. She's got crazy bursts. She kind of kills herself, but that actually synergizes really nicely with Chaos Dominion. It can be tricky to time it out right, especially in something like Guild Boss or Guild Boss 2, and keep her from just falling off. But of course it is possible. That's what kept her from getting S's in these, is because it does take so much timing, so much attention, so much technique, but the burst damage is exceptionally good. We are still going to give her that extremely solid S+. She really deserves it. Gear 8-5, she's an absolute staple for what she does on the left side column. I mean, she's unbeaten. She makes it as easy as possible. AMR, maybe the best unit in the game. Void Rift, she is brilliant for bursting down those bosses. If you're having trouble with Lasir, in comes Valeriya. Incredible. Campaign, she's excellent. Faction trials, she's freakish. 6 Codex, she's very solid. And then I want to say single target attack. After Lugaru, it's probably Valeriya. I use her every single time this comes around. You run her with a Chaotic Lord especially. She is absolutely bonkers. You can see, it's not like she has so many S's, right? But where she gets her S+, those are key pieces of important endgame content. She is growing with the game. She is getting better and better. She is freaking awesome. At long last, guys, our top 5. Who is number 5? That is going to be Volka. I almost put her higher. Volka got a rework about 3 months ago. Holy crap, was it amazing. She's only gotten better as well as we have gotten more content in the game. She has amazing support abilities. Some of them she does not even need to be deployed for. She's 100% free to play. When you do your beginner Hero's Path Volka quests, you will get her. Then you will get all the soul stones you need to bring her to A5 as you progress through the game over a very long time. I'm nearly at 160 of Tide and getting my A5 Volka soul stone. That A1 though, that A1 which you get from Tide 105, Allies Revival Time -25. This has made her relevant forever. It is so key for cycling in key pieces of content, thinking like Gear Raid 2, even some people in Gear Raid 3, even in Gear Raid 5, even in, of course, Guild Boss 1, she is brilliant. But after they reworked her, she does more damage now. They permanently increased her range to be 2 tiles. It's bursty, it's nasty. Her Scarlet Ferment, which is a key component of hers, works a lot better. If you can get her exclusive artifact, it is brilliant. I basically always run her on my account in either her exclusive artifact or in Lunacy Visor for when I want her to do like dual tanking. Let me tell you, she's got pretty nice base stats. 3,000 defense on a fighter is really nice, over 19,000 health. I actually do run her as like a tank unit all the time. She's an amazing hybrid hero, amazing support stuff. She can do vulnerabilities, both physical and magic during her ultimate. And then a very key thing that people seem to forget about is Scarlet Feast. Each basic attack she launches with skill ups is a 6% HP restore, and then each basic attack launched by her allies is a 2% HP restore if you get that level 5 skill up. This is crazy. She's giving healing to the whole team, healing to herself. She's giving debuffs. She's giving a crazy unique thing in the reduced revival time from the A1. The damage is actually legit. It is consistent AoE. She's brilliant. You'll see tons of S's, tons of S pluses. She's a definitive S plus overall. Something like Gear Aid 5. The only better option than her for the bottom row is like a really crazy built Estrid. And then of course Ardia, who's like the most broken fighter in the game. She's nuts. AMR, key staple. Almost everyone will use her to clear 18 for the first time. She's good in Void Rift, Campaign, Faction Trials, Conquer. She's literally good at almost everything. I'd say only for PvP stuff, she's not that great. But for me, I'm totally okay with that. A free hero doesn't have to be some kind of PvP god. You can see she's pretty good in AoE Arena. I don't need her being amazing in GVG and Guild Wars or something like that. She's free. She is insanely good at PvE. That is what matters. She is bonkers good. As I'm almost convincing myself that I should have rated her higher. When you see the top 4, though, it will all make sense. I mean, the top 4, you already know who they're going to be, right? If you know all the heroes in the game. We're going to start with Lust. Lust is unbelievable. It is possible she might be coming back in like a week and a half. We should be knowing very, very soon. Less than a week and a half, actually. People have, there's rumors she might come back with Arrogance for the anniversary this weekend. I guess less than a week. Holy crap. We'll have to see. I am not eating those rumors yet, but it would not blow my mind. Lust is crazy. She takes Arrogance to a whole new level with her partner bond. The partner bond Arrogance gives her, giving the ultimate increased 20% permanent extra damage, and then giving all damage dealt burn is nuts. It turns her into a whole new hero. She enables crazy stuff as almost a support by giving rage to her allies. She is completely unique. She is bursty. She's got great damage. She is just... The list goes on and on. Lust is freakish. She is amazing. If you're able to go whale, she obviously is a limited hero, an exclusive hero, only available from when her banner shows up, and it's 250 summons guaranteed, then becomes a 15x. If you whale or you get lucky and you get multiple copies, you get a defense break on the A1, the A3 when she gets full ecstasy sacks, increased attack speed, and then for those wacky people out there that get an A5 Lust either from being lucky or soulstoning or both, or I guess to have the soulstones you have to be lucky in the first place, 6 basic attacks during the ultimate. 6 hitters on every basic attack. That is mind-blowing good. Look at the top Guild Boss 2 teams in the world. That A5 Lust does the craziest work in the world. She is unbelievable. She's an S+ hero, S+ in Guild Boss, S+ in Guild Boss 2. I use her in both of those. Great in tons of other PvE content. The list kind of goes on and on. A key unit in AMR for both dealing damage and dishing out rage and enabling her nightmare allies and other allies. She's kind of just good in everything. I will say she is not that good in PvP content, so not that special in Guild Wars, and she's solid in Arena, but not a game changer, but such a definitive S+, such a brilliant hero. On to the top 3, without a doubt, almost all of you know who these guys are going to be. We're going to kick it off with Torodor, our legendary lord, the only legendary lord currently from the Nightmare Council. Torodor has only gotten better every single month as they release more and more content, because Nightmare is getting more relevant. Things like Defense Break and Stun are getting more relevant. He does all of this stuff. A ridiculous Lord skill. Let's just start off by reading that. The first part is exactly the same as Wrath, but then this last line, faction allies basic attacks have a 30% chance of landing an extra hit. Extra basic attacks are crazy, especially when you could have someone like an A5 Lust. If she's landing an extra basic attack, that's an extra 6 hits, 6 instances of damage. Crazy stuff. He enables cool things in things like sticks when you need bursty stuff for the whole comp. Torodor is amazing. He always applies defense break on his attacks. Amazing Lord skill, obviously. He's got some bursty damage. He's not the greatest tank in the world, but you can absolutely make him work because he's got very solid base stats. And then, of course, he's got a ton of stuns. As you can see over here from Atrocious Trample, the guy's a freak. Guild Boss 2, I mean, he is in like every top comp. Those Nightmare comps are king, and you kind of need Torodor to make it sing. He's fulfilling the role of a 4th Nightmare unit, of a tank, of a Lord, end of a stunner. He's wearing a lot of hats. He's wearing them brilliantly. He obviously has always been amazing in Guild Boss 1. And a lot of the other ratings are just, he's such a freakishly good lord for one of the best factions in the game. The guy is going to shine. Final thing I'm going to say for PvP stuff, single target arena, amazing. And then GVG, some of those nightmare comps led by Torodor are so freaking difficult. This guy is totally brilliant. We know who the top 2 are going to be. I'll show you them, I guess, at the same time, because once you see number 2, you know who number 1's going to be. I think this might be controversial. Number 2 is going to be Arrogance, so that means number 1 is going to be Hatssut. Let's quickly talk about these last 2 absolute champions of units. These guys are freakish heroes. Arrogance and Hatssut, basically as good as it's going to get. I can even just go to our total tier list on Fastidious.gvg, sort by overall. It will not take long to find them. So we'll kick it off with Arrogance. Here he is, decided S+, and as we go across the board in tier ratings, he is high ranked in everything. You know there's the expression, jack of all trades, master of none. He is the jack of all trades, master of nearly every trade. Top DPS unit for Guild Boss. Top for Guild Boss 2. Gear Raid 1, very good. Gear Raid 2, very good. Gear Raid 3, if you need more damage on the boss and you need a fighter, you need a melee unit, he is the best option in the entire game. Full stop, what a freak. Gear Raid 4, not that good. Gear Raid 5, he's back to being very good again. AMR, maybe the best unit in the game, or certainly one of the best. Void Rift, again, maybe the best melee unit in the entire game. Someone like Ardia can do more damage, but she can't hit aerial units. Arrogance absolutely deletes airborne targets. Oh my god, he does it all from the floor. Crazy guy, crazy unique. He's got AoE, he's got multi-target, he's got single target, he's got burst, he's got damage over time. He is insane. Campaign, the hardest carry ever. Faction Trials, same kind of thing. The difference between beating Nightmare Faction Trial with Arrogance and without, can you do it without him? Sure. Is it going to be fun? No. Conqueror, not as good as you'd think. Styx, quite good. Arbiter, quite good. Guild Wars, a total freak. Single target arena, very good. AoE arena, very good. Anti-arena, very good. The guy is as solid as it gets. He gets 1 C in Gear Raid 4 because the only magic damage he's going to do is through his burns. So basically any physical damage dealer is going to get a strike there. And when you look at that, everything else is just S+, S, A+, or A. Nothing else to it. Arrogance is brilliant. He's got this awesome range, this kind of typical Arrogance, Aratra, Absin, Zillitu range that then becomes during the ultimate a 3x4 rectangle. He can always hit airborne targets and ground melee targets with no condition. It's nuts. He throws his boomerang for AoE. He's got single target. He's got multi-target. The guy is amazing with actually not crazy base stats, but that goes to show you how important multipliers are in this game. And boy, do his multipliers sing. And now for number 1, let's wrap this thing up. There's not too much to say about her. She is the burst queen of all burst queens. It's going to be Hatssut. She's one of the only 5 SSS rated non-legendary lord heroes in the entire game. Hatssut is a freak. If you don't know, she's only 12 costs because they counter a single target, but she's got one of the wackiest AoE bursts in the entire game. It is so potent. She is the only marksman from the Nightmare Council. There are only a couple platform unit DPSs to begin with. She's the only one doing piercing damage. She's a complete freak. She is just ridiculous. I think they designed her to be like the most broken hero in the game. Obviously, we have other extremely broken heroes now, but she's still right there. I mean, every part of this kit is stupid. The single target, the burst, the bounces, the defense break. I mean, it goes on and on. The invisibility. She's just good at everything. Her awakenings are solid. I'll say maybe that's the one knock against her. Her awakenings aren't like that crazy. I could have talked about that with Arrogance. If you get an A5 Arrogance, I've been sitting at A4 forever. At A5, the guy goes through the roof. Her A5 maybe equally is that strong, but the 4 to get to that A5 are not nearly there. If the only knock against you is that you're so good at Awaken level 0 that dupes don't really help you until you've got 5 of them, I think it means you're a pretty broken, strong, OP hero. She's an A in Guild Boss, B+ in Guild Boss 2, but as we get into stuff where there's more units, it just goes nuts. Gear Raid 1, she's a borderline S, we give her an A+. Gear Raid 2, she is the best burst hero for this in the game. Gear Raid 3, for doing the right side, she's the best unit in the game. Gear Raid 4, you can't really use physical damage, so she doesn't work. Gear Raid 5, for the top right, she's by a mile, not even close, the single best unit in the game. Even for AMR, the burst works. For Void Rift, she's a total freak. Campaign, total freak. Faction Trials, probably the best Nightmare unit in all of Faction Trials. It's either her or Arrogance. Styx, she's solid. Codex Torrent, she's okay. Guild Wars, she's completely and utterly frustrating and broken and amazing. Single target, she's good. AoE, she's brilliant. Anti-air, she's brilliant. Whether it's PvP or PvE, this hero is crazy. She does it all. And that is going to be our number one. I think this is the biggest faction in the game. I've been filming for 1 hour and 7 minutes. A huge thank you to Mitchell for editing this one. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you are excited for this series. We have 8 more factions remaining. Oh my God, it's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you are a hero and you made it this far into the video, it is time to learn about the giveaway, not just for this video, but for every single video coming in this series, all 9 videos. It's not crazy, but over the 9 videos, it is a lot of diamonds I will be giving away with Moonton. At the end of each one of these videos, I will have a little giveaway where we're giving 3 different players 200 diamonds. So that's 600 diamonds a video over 9 videos. Not too bad. 5,400 diamonds we are giving away. So now, of course, you are wondering how to participate in the giveaway. Get in the comments and answer the question, who is your favorite Nightmare Council unit in the game? And tell me why. Then leave your UID. That's your in-game ID. Once this video has been out for 48 hours, I will close the giveaway. We will pick 3 winners. We will then repeat this process for the remaining 8 videos in the series. We are going to have a ton of giveaways. Thank you for Moonton for taking part of this. I came to them with this series. I thought it'd be a lot of fun. They agreed, so here we are. 1 faction down, 8 to go. Guys, I am pumped. I am also exhausted. I've been Fastidious. If you like my stuff, like it. Hit the notification bell, subscribe, get in the comments, participate in that giveaway, share with your mother, and I'll see you real soon.
Fastidious.